Om. We meditate on these words. Tvam adidevo purusha purana Tvamasya vishvasya param nidhanam Vettasi vedyam cha param cha dhama Tvaya tatam vishvamanantarupa. O Lord of boundless forms, Thou art the primal God of gods, the ancient being. Thou art the supreme refuge of the universe. Thou art the known and the one to be known. Thou art the supreme goal. By Thee, this universe is pervaded. The great confluence. It's a very ancient word. Confluence. I mean, the Sanskrit cognate, of course. Confluence means the junction of two rivers of equal size. Confluence means joining, merging, commingling, an act or a process of merging. Two weeks ago, I had been to Missouri and I had the opportunity to see the Missouri River and the Mississippi. There, the confluence. And thank God, we had the place all to ourselves. There was no one around. And it was a wonderful time. And I was so delighted when I said, okay, let's go to this confluence. And there was a small rock jutting out exactly where the two rivers merged. And I sat on the rock and I dangled my feet in both the rivers and I had a great time. Great time in the sense of, like the things we are used to. Okay, we'll sit down and quieten the mind and meditate. And we prayed. And there were two other monks with me from St. Louis. And so we had a nice time there. No picnickers, no noise, nothing. It was really remarkable. And you feel so uplifted in that place. I mean, look at this confluence, those huge rivers. Oh my God. I've heard about the Mississippi and of course I'd seen it a couple of years ago. But to see it at there, right there, huge. And the Missouri is kind of muddy and the Missouri is kind of clean. And then I've seen some aerial photos where the rivers retain their kind of identity for a while and then the Mississippi becomes muddy, etc. and flows down. And it reminded me a year ago, a little over a year ago, I was in another confluence. It's at what is called Prayagraj. The other name is Allahabad. It's a confluence of the Ganga and the Jamuna. And there's a subterranean river, they say, it's Saraswati. That cannot be seen, of course, but it doesn't matter. And I contrasted that and this. There, oh my God, Every place has got temples and temples, and there are bells going, and there are the loudspeakers, blaring their hymns. Oh my God, it's like festive occasion. People, all types of people come and bathe. And when I was there, it was the rainy season, and the confluence was kind of a little turbulent. So they had put barricades, and we had to go by small country boats, and so we had a dip, and I couldn't do that here. So it had a kind of a different feel. More it was because of the state of my mind. That is, associating these confluences with the sacred. So I was telling the two Swamis, see, if this was India, this would have been filled with pilgrims, people coming to have a dip there. Why? What's so special about the confluence? Well, the belief is you wash away your karma at the confluence. And at Prayagraj, it's one of the very ancient places mentioned even in the Vedic literature. So then I remembered, Holy Mother, when she had gone there and taken the relics of Sri Ramakrishna, and as she was about to immerse the relics in that confluence, a wave suddenly rises up from nowhere and snatches those relics, and Mother says, it looks like as if the Ganga itself wants to get purified by Sri Ramakrishna. So that, as it were, Sri Ramakrishna mingle in that confluence. So the Ganges and the Jamuna and the subterranean Saraswati. These rivers, they were personified as goddesses. And one of the earliest hymns in the Vedas is of the goddess Saraswati. She was identified with the river. She's the goddess of learning, etc. So these are three goddesses. Okay. So we know what confluence is like. It's a merging of goddesses. It's a sacred space. It is where one can go and dissolve one karma. And especially during a festival called the Kumbh Mela. That's a huge festival. It's the largest gathering of humanity. And for a religious purpose. And for any purpose, large gathering. Actually, the whole city springs up with all the infrastructure. And after the whole thing is over, this dismantled. So I have seen millions and millions of people streaming and streaming day and night. They're waiting for that auspicious time where they can take that dip. And they feel, all the karma has been now finished. We see in life, when we look at nature around it, what do we see? We see existence, of course. But also, if you take any aspect of nature, and there are some aspects that can, when you can study them, they'll give you the plan, the purpose, the goal, the meaning of all existence. When you look at nature, yeah, it's a huge thing. Oh my God, it's huge. See how big I am? Then you look around, oh, I'm so small. Then you look up in the heavens and see, oh my God, this, what I thought is nothing, just a speck of dust. And when you see, what's this? How do you explain it? So Vedanta takes a few things and it asks you, study this phenomena, and you can know the nature of everything that is experienced. And one of them is confluence. So Sangam. Gam is to go, sang properly, to merge inside. Take for another instance of name and form, nama rupa. You can explain everything through name, and everything that exists has a name and has a form. These are internal, these are external, they are everywhere. Whatever exists has to have a form and has to have a name. Well, let's dwell on the aspect of confluence, the Sangam. What is the Sangam? So it's a confluence, yes. But we see the diversity everywhere. Everything is diverse. Yeah. So boil all this diversity to a few principles. And this is what Vedanta keeps on doing. Now let's look at confluence, the merging, the commingling, the meeting, the joining. Another word is Sangyoga, to join. At the fundamental level, all matter is but a result of commingling, joining. No matter doesn't matter. No fundamental particles, or even go down even more fundamental particles, atoms, molecules, whatever. These guys are coming out with newer and newer kind of things and called quarks, and they're all the result of merging. You cannot have anything isolated, single, in a vacuum. And that also means life. We think you can have, I'm alone, I like to be alone. It's not possible. So at the very fundamental level of matter, the smallest to the highest, now we know that there's the Milky Way is going to kind of go bam with the Andromeda galaxy. This has been happening. It won't happen so soon, but don't worry. It's going to happen. Some say we'll just pass through. But then the idea is galaxies merge. So the principle of Vedanta is smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest. Both these extremes have to be explained by one. You can't. The Upanishad says, Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiya. Anu is atom, smaller than the atom and greater than the greatest. So at the fundamental level we see there has to be a merging. At the highest level also there has to be a merging. And there are some, they say there are some galaxies that form super clusters. You can understand something is pulling them together. And there are some places where everything is empty. So something is pulling it. And you've seen that even down to the very cell, biological cell, of course, you have a confluence. No cell can live in it. It has to keep on joining and rejoining, dividing, subdividing, etc. If you look inside the cell, again it's all joining. Confluence. No element in that biological cell is just isolated in a bubble. Everything has to join to make life possible. When you look at the forces also, look at the forces. There's so many forces and they're trying to unify them. Yeah, you go about it. The strong and the weak nuclear force, electromagnetism, and that gravity, that guy is not kind of getting inside. But and in Vedanta, they harmonized it. Yeah, the whole thing is one force which is called prana. So everywhere you find things coming together. Mind. The mind is a result of merging, meeting. Things coming out from the senses going inside, or the senses meeting the object, or the subconscious mind with the conscious mind. Everywhere it is just the sense of I with memory and with intelligence and with the mind, everything. It's all a question of merging. So even mental phenomena is nothing but the result of confluence. Okay. Society would just be impossible if it wasn't for confluence of peoples and things and ideas, commerce, and banks, and whatever you want. You have to have two things coming together. It has to be a confluence. Okay, you're getting the idea. Yeah, a little more to emphasize. All types of relationships are a confluence. Art, sciences, everything, poetry, literature, everything. So people say, yeah, they are writing about confluence or love and this and that. And so when sometimes the confluence is imperceptible, at other times it is violent. When things come imperceptibly, there is a real, you can say, growth. But when things come violently and merge and confluenced, then you have wars and everything is the result of violent confluence. So whenever there's a peaceful confluence, things grow, merge, become better, become stronger. So you can see everything in life, the dramas and movies, etc., all these things. Even when you watch the news, you are getting connected with that news. And either you're getting riled or you're getting depressed. So like trade and production and distribution and all these things, economic activities, etc., all types of schools and colleges and universities, nothing but you're getting connected with ideas, new ideas. No learning would have been possible. Life, yeah, it is one long episode of suffering. And that also is nice. People don't want suffering. Then you don't want life. Because that's integral. So why should life have suffering? Yeah, it has been there at the beginning only. So you don't have to, you cannot change now. You cannot change a plan. That's a plan of nature. Sorry. You cannot do anything. What cannot be cured must be endured. So on the higher level, again speaking of higher, we get connected to new bodies. Karma, we get connected to the results of what we have done. What we do, that issues out and comes back to us. And then we interact with others. This is also a huge network of karma that is being spread out. We have to, so at every level you find that there is a confluence, a joining, a merging. Yeah, but we also know the relationships go bad, and things go bad, and this go bad, and everything go bad, life dies. And yes, even this thing is part of the confluence, the joining and the disjoining, the merger and the non-merge. Then they go separate ways. But again, they come back again. And with a new identity. There's something renewed. So every time there's a confluence, and then the second part goes their separate ways, again comes back. So this vast network is part of this confluence. You cannot stray away too far. Or you join yourself with something, and then it goes and join yourself with something else. So this gives the rise to all the diversity we have in this world. The Upanishads say, Neha nanasti kinchana. There is no diversity whatsoever. One who sees the diversity goes from death to death. Mrityu samrityum apnoti yahya naneva pashyati. But yeah, you got to see the binding links which has created this diversity. Once you see that, there is no more death for you. So, confluence also explains reincarnation and karma, etc. We are joined to the body. Yes. But that's not a bad thing, you know. People say, oh, what a kind of bondage. You don't know how lucky you are to get a body. It's very rare. It's a very rare event. There must be something behind it. There's a reason for that. So we have Sri Ramakrishna also saying, there was, in fact, in the literature, we have Swami Vijnanananda. One time, he was a big and heavy-set monk, one of Sri Ramakrishna's disciples. So he used to go from the ashram, which he was in Prayagraj, to the confluence almost every day. When he was there, he used to go. And one time he had gone, and you got to go there and don't stand like a Dhamma person there. You got to chant hymns and pray, or you'll find people standing in chest deep or neck deep water, turning their rosaries, chanting, just quietly trying to contemplate. So he was chanting hymns to the goddess Ganga, Ganges. It's a very sublime hymn. And suddenly he saw a young girl, a goddess in the form of a young girl, rise up from the Ganges and again merges. But he gets a glimpse of, she had 3 braids, signifying the confluence of these 3 rivers. Like we have a goddess Ganges, a goddess, you can say Jamuna, and a goddess Saraswati, yes. But that very spot has another goddess. It's called the Triveni, 3 braids. Later on, an artist kind of sketched a picture I've seen that picture 100 times. In that place where Swami Vijnanananda was present there. He lived for many years there. I used to go there. So, I see. So, he saw the goddess, and there are some doubts about confluence and sacredness and this and that, and there it was. And then he was so overwhelmed with that, you can say, vision. Somehow he managed to finish chanting the hymn, and then as he was returning, he sees that goddess make a reappearance and walk in front of him with her 3 braids hanging down and the long braids, and they are swinging on her back. And he was following her. They say that she came to the center from there. And that's why she is worshipped there also, in that center in Prayagraj. So here we have something which is something new in the sense of every confluence has a sacredness, I said. There is a mystery, there is a mystical connection at the confluence. The vision of this goddess showed that the confluence is the meeting of the sacred from various directions. Now, they said people come there. I was telling the Swamis, in India, we would have had people offering flowers and lamps, floating the lamps, and waving the lights and waving the incense, etc., and beating of the drums, etc. After this, I used to read this, and then I think, that is no reason why they shouldn't do it. They are, in a way, unconsciously worshipping that mystical idea of a confluence. Why? Because it's a belief. If you have a dip in the confluence, you are not going to be reborn. And millions of people come and they bathe there, have a dip at that particular auspicious time. It's like, it's to guarantee you that, okay, this is over now. But the deeper significance is those people are just ordinary. They have just faith. But there's a deeper, not just a mystical meaning for the confluence. There is a metaphysical confluence where the soul joins with nature. And the Bhagavad Gita says, no, both Prakriti and Purusha are verily without beginning. No, the modifications as also the qualities are born of it. So we have these two entities. Nature with all that confluence and the diversity here, and we have something called the Supreme Soul. This is the mighty confluence. These two ultimate realities in the universe. Now, according to Sankhya, there are the two realities. So the Bhagavad Gita says, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidya Nadi Ubhavopi. The supreme, it's called a supreme person, the soul, the supreme soul, and nature, they come together. So if you see, Vedanta says, if you see confluence here, everywhere, that means that the idea of confluence has been there at the beginning. Yeah, if it is here, it has to partake of its nature. So nature is showing us this confluence of the Purusha, the Supreme Soul, and Prakriti, nature. This is what is actually celebrated. If you understand this, there will be no rebirth. And the Bhagavad Gita says, Ya evam vetti purusham prakritim cha gunai savha savartamanopi nasa bhuyo bijay. If you know the connection, the sangyoga, the joining, the confluence of both the Purusha and the Prakriti, that person is never born again, and that person, as I say, he will live forever. Live in the sense of exist forever. So vartamanopi. So it will exist forever. This is the confluence, the great confluence. In a way, we are a result of confluence at every level, and at the highest metaphysical level, there is a confluence between matter and spirit. Now, matter is perishable, it's modified, it's transforming constantly, and the spirit does not. These are two of opposite nature. Yeah, it is. But how do they get together? And Vedanta has been trying to exhaust itself. And it has come down to something else. Yeah, it is because of ignorance. That you think you have joined yourself to nature, to a body and to the mind, etc. They say it's ignorance. I like to call it, there is a kind of a mystical connection between the two. And they come together. This is what is confluence. And that is why you see your life is indicative of your origins. Everything that you do, everything that you say, everything that you work for, everything you ever had is hearkening back to that reality there. But we are so distracted. When you say God creates the world, etc., etc., and He has left us, maybe God is sleeping there. No. God is constantly kind of telling us about ourselves, our reality. Only thing, we are not interested right now. Wait till later on. So it comes, and that's the reason why in India and all the other places, whenever there's a confluence, you are reminded of. Normally, you've got to remind yourself every time, whenever you're working, that's a confluence. I met a new friend. I had a nice chocolate cake. That also is confluence. Everything is a confluence. But especially when you come to those mighty rivers, and you go, wow, look at that. It reminds one of that mighty confluence of the soul with nature, the Supreme Soul, not just the individual soul, the Supreme Soul. And because the Supreme Soul has connected itself, the individual souls also are connected with it. And what does Vedanta say? Does the connection remain forever? Then you'll see one completely merging into the other and becoming that soul. The soul is appearing as nature, and it's again, it's again trying to bring it together. It doesn't want to keep it too far away. So this constant flow, and from the highest to the lowest level, is nothing but this confluence. Now, in all the sufferings and all the pains, you are joined to pain, you are joined to suffering, nobody is immune to it. Now you understand the meaning of it all. Then you are not thrown off your balance. Nothing catches you off guard. Every time you walk, you talk, you live, you understand this is the metaphysics of existence. And then you'll say, now if you still want to eat chocolate cakes after eating it once, you can get it the second time. You'll get it again. If you have a desire, it will fructify. Today or tomorrow, it's going to happen. You'll get it again and again. But there will come a time when you say, that's a time when you begin understanding things. Things are becoming more and more mystical in your life. When the ordinary, the mundane, the commonplace things are talking about this great joining, the great oneness, the great merging, the great influence. This is what is the lesson for us all. Sometimes we walk about and talk about as if we are oblivious of everything but ourselves. Ourselves. Most of our lives is like unconscious. Then your entire life, your entire mind will kind of sparkle. And you will find, you will find that God and that nature everywhere. In everything that you do, you will see that God and the nature is in every cell, in every atom, in every subatom, in every forces, in everything. This is what is called liberation in Vedanta. These are the living free. They're called the Jivan Muktas. So the Bhagavad Gita also says, whatever is the result of confluence is the result of these two things. One is consciousness and one is nature, matter. You'll find everywhere that consciousness, it's the consciousness of God or the Supreme Self or the reality that is bringing everything into consciousness. This is the mystery. This is not a mystery. This is the reality. We find consciousness everywhere. Yeah, it's there. That's the mysticism in your life. That consciousness is in everything. And as Vedanta says, that consciousness is existence. That consciousness is bliss. There are not three things. Existence and consciousness and bliss. No. That same existence is consciousness, is conscious, is bliss. Because nature works only under the powers of consciousness. It appears conscious. So where does Vedanta ask you to go? Just understand. So Vedanta is the most simplest explanation of the whole thing. It doesn't explain parts. Yeah. Oh, that's the good part and the bad part is for that bad guy there he came and spoiled everything. No. Everything is included. and we go to that very core to understand those things. It's just a question of understanding it. And how do you understand it? Well, from the surface, you need to go kind of down. Yeah. And then you'll see all the old connections and the old disconnections and again the connections, and pass all through them, and you'll come to the very basis. The basis of this is what is called consciousness, and this is what is called the reflected consciousness. It has to partake of its nature. That's why they say God cannot be located in any place. You say God is in heaven. Some say like God is in hell, taking care of that guy. No. Where do you find God? In the confluence. Yes. So you start and go down. Now you know where to dig. Go dig. And you'll come down to it. Okay. I think that is clear. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. They have no questions yet come in. You have? Yeah.
A couple of visuals came to mind as you were kind of talking through it. It seems like you can think of the confluence as sort of two complementary pieces coming together. So to me, what came to mind was kind of like a zipper. Kind of a zipper. My question is using that in mind, does the order of operations with which you kind of bring them together, is it the same for all things and everyone, or can the order with which they come together vary?
Sometimes disparate things join. Things which are similar, they come and they kind of quietly merge in nicely. Sometimes disparate things, they also come. And that kind of confluence is a little kind of turbulent, And then again they separate. And again that comes. So this thing of a similar nature, because nature, if you take her as one, with all its diversity, is one. So you get, similar things like a zipper. There are two things. Sometimes the zipper gets stuck. Even though they are similar things, they'll get stuck. Hey, then you got to pull and push and all that. So yes, because all nature is made out of fundamental particles. So on the surface it might appear different, but you can see down below, it's all. Yeah, all matter is nothing but the same. And this is the kind of, again, one of my favorite is, you can say, illustration is the whole recycling plant. Nature recycles. What was in Julius Caesar, maybe, is now in me. What's wrong? Hey, I'm Julius. No, you cannot say I'm a Julius Caesar now. But the whole thing is kind of, it's of a similar nature. Only where the Purusha is there and nature, they are dissimilar. But that's why the connection is kind of mystical. How it happens? Vedanta says because of ignorance, because of superimposition. No, it does not answer the question. But it is present. The soul, as it were, comes with nature. Yes. So, the Sankhya philosophy, this particular chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, the 13th chapter, deals with the Sankhya philosophy and takes Sankhya philosophy and takes it to Vedanta. So it takes according to Sankhya, there are two ultimate entities. One is the Purusha, one is Supreme Soul, and one is the Prakriti. That's constantly modifying itself because that's its nature. So those guys give a example of, there was a lame man and a blind man, and they want to go to a place. So both couldn't go, so they combined their forces. So as the blind man says, okay, you have eyes, I'll carry you on my shoulder because you're lame. Okay, and we both can reach there. So they both. The Sri Ramakrishna gives another example. It's very, even this has been discussed in the Great Master. The guy does not do anything. He's just sitting down and smoking his hookah. You know, in the old days, he had this hookah. And there's a marriage in the house, and the wife is running about here and there. So and so has come. I've done this. I've done that. And this guy is sitting on his. Yeah, okay, all right. So she's doing all the work, but she's now and then coming and telling me, this is, and she's disheveled and this and that, and she's running about. So she is Prakriti, nature. She does all the work. And the Purusha. At times you see it. The women do all the work. And the men sit on, oh, all right. No offense meant, but so they are called the male and female principles and this and that. But this is just to make us understand that they are ultimately they are joined, but how they are joined, we do not know. What the Upanishads say, at one point of time, you will know yourself as both. Both. That is liberation. So when you know this and you know this, as the Bhagavad Gita says, ya evam veti purusham prakritim chagunaisa. When somebody knows both the Purusha and the Prakriti together, that person will exist forever. That person will not have to be reborn. So you can say Kali and is dancing on the, you can say, body of Shiva. That is also another, you can say, illustration. And then we have also the relative and the absolute, Maya and Brahman. These are the two. Why did they come together? So the best thing is to know it and be liberated. And once you're there, then you know, okay, it's over for you. You can leave. But till you don't know the mystery of the confluence, till you don't see that goddess with the three braids, there you'll have to plod on and on and on. So that's a nice question, actually. So there are dissimilarities on the surface, but down below there's a unity always. Similar things only.
We have to resolve all the
apparent
dissimilarities on the surface.
Yes. That exactly. Like Sri Ramakrishna said, when once he went to that Octonally memorial, there was a Colonel Octonally. There was a huge. It's called Shahid Minar in Calcutta Maidan. So he climbs up and then he sees. So here he's saying all the differences are there. You can see between people, but when you rise higher, there are no differences. They're all the same. So when you take a lofty view of the diversity itself, you will not see any diversity. You'll find a unity. And that is what this whole thing is. If we can really understand it at every level. And this is what you hold on to, this idea of confluence, the kind of a mystical connection, and dive deeper. How deep you've got to go? Go down deep inside. This is where you get the connection. It is, in mystical language, it's called a chid and jad granthi. It's a knot between consciousness and matter. They're both kind of, as it were, tied together. There's a Vishnu granthi and there's a Shiva granthi, Rudra granthi, and these can be, you can say, unraveled through pranayama. There are various methods of pranayama and meditation where you open the knots. So Vedanta says there's that point where consciousness and matter apparently are tied together. They are married together. And that is what here there's something called, according to 5 sheaths, Stula, Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana. So this confluence of 3 bodies is human also confluence? Oh yeah, of course. Every body, when it gets connected to every other body, it's a confluence. It's a meeting. Yes, so you got the answer. So it's an extended question. So it is there. Everything has to move away and come together. Move away, come together. That's why, people say, oh, there are so much differences all over the world. You are seeing only the surface. Go down to the heart of matter and you will find everything is kind of, they say in reincarnation, you come back with the same person over and over again. Be careful. Finish off all your confluence, okay? 7 times. Not for me, for you all. But to finish the unfinished business, whatever. What is the unfinished business? To understand this confluence, there's a joining, there's a union. Swamiji used to say, he was talking about when he was in San Francisco, I think. So he's saying union is greater than love. Yes. Union, love, 2 things. But then when you find that these things are united, it's greater. So that is where. Love, you have differences, and in union, there's no differences. Okay. So, any further questions can be put down here during a QA session. Okay. Om Shanti.